Yo, what's up, everybody? Y'all know this is your weekly tech and AI news, and I got my amazing co-host here, Ash, the queen of AI, and of course, I'm your host, Cyrus, the founder of Tech is the New Black, and we're very excited, y'all. This week has been pretty crazy when it comes to tech news. I mean, every week has been crazy. This week is one of those ones for the book, though. So as people are joining in, one of the things I want to highlight for people to do, we never tell people to do this, but want to start moving forward, telling people to do this. Make sure y'all hit the like button, whatever platform you're on, whether it's LinkedIn, YouTube, wherever you're tuning in from. Even if you're watching this later, even if you're only watching this temporarily, just hit the like button. Because of course it helps. Y'all know what it does to the algorithm. It helps this get spread further, helps blows this up. So that way we can be able to educate more people. More people will be educated about what's happening in the tech industry and AI. So that way no one is late to what's happening, but everybody's on top of what's happening when it comes to the latest news. So right before we get started, again, we got a lot of news, things happening with Google, things happening with Neuralink, SpaceX, a lot of these different companies, Meta, Apple, like a lot of the big companies, a lot of news that's going to be going on. But want to make sure that for those of y'all that are interested in either getting a tech community, to make sure y'all click the link down below in the description. We have a tech and professional community of over 5,000 members. Y'all make sure y'all tap in with the community. There are recurring events. Literally, our community right now is actually having an event. So literally, I like Ash and I technically could not be here. We could be at the event, but I wanted to make sure that I was dedicated. I literally was going to fly into Atlanta this weekend to go to the event. But I thought, and I said, okay, well, I'm going to miss the weekly tech and AI news if I do that. So, you know what, let me stay put. Let me be dedicated to this to be able to give y'all this news. So again, our community over 5,000 members. Y'all make sure y'all click the link down below if you're interested in joining the community, or if you're interested and signing up for the tech boot camp. If you're trying to get in the tech industry, whether you want to do our boot camp or one of the other boot camps that we recommend, it doesn't matter what you want to do in tech. My team, we are partnered with different various boot camps we can recommend you to be able to help you break into tech and scale in the industry. Now, for those of y'all that are business owners, or you are already in the industry, or just living life in general, and you need to use some of these AI tools to help you in your life, help you in your career, Ash, you tell them a little bit about what it is that you do, and then we'll get started with the tech news.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, Cyrus. As you said, my name is Ash. I'm an AI solution specialist and also an AI career transition expert. So like you mentioned, if you're already interested in getting into either quality assurance or cybersecurity or even tech sales, we have those options available for you now. However, if you are interested in getting into tech and AI, then I can help with that transition and help lock down your personalized career path plan. So, most definitely reach out and we would love to hear from you guys. Where are you guys tuning in from? Let's hear from you guys all over the world. Let's hear it. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, appreciate the love, Steven. Steven says, best tech show all over the net. Hey, man, appreciate the love. Appreciate the love. Hey, look, and we're working to get better and better. So we got our mic equipment today. The goal is to start putting this on audio podcasts, so that way people can listen to this in a car ride, on Mondays or Sundays when they're heading to work. For those that aren't in the industry yet, or those that aren't working remote yet, be able to listen to it on the car ride or while at the gym. So that way, again, the goal is to make sure all of our community are on top of what's happening in the industry. Because many times we don't find out about what's happening until we're scrolling on social media. And by the time we see it on social media, unless you're following a page like ours or a page that's really up to date with what's happening, 9 times out of 10, by the time people figure out what's happening in the industry, it's already months later. And in today's time, months is way too late to find out about what's happening in the industry, because months later means that's an opportunity that you missed out on when it comes to an investment. Months later means that's an opportunity you missed out on when it comes to a career opportunity. And months later means it's too late for you to find out about something that potentially could replace your business or your job. So the goal of this weekly tech and AI news is to make sure y'all are completely up to date with everything that's happening. So that way y'all are abreast to what is happening in the world and how it's going to affect you and how you can actually take advantage of the opportunities that are happening. Dennis says, I work weekends. This is perfect to stay in tune with the tech news. Thanks. I appreciate you for being here, Dennis. All right, look, y'all. So we got a lot of news to jump into, and we're going to jump into it again. Make sure y'all hit that like button. For those that are not subscribed to the Tech is New Black YouTube channel, make sure that you do subscribe, turn on the bell notifications, so that way y'all don't miss this and y'all don't miss alerts when it comes to our tech events. We have a tech event coming up on December 14th in Atlanta. Make sure y'all don't miss out. It's going to be hundreds of people there because, again, our community is over 5,000. It might be about 1,000 people there, but either way, make sure y'all tap in with that. That being said, we're going to go ahead and jump into the news. We might possibly, I'm noticing more and more of my news is starting to touch on a lot of AI stuff because AI is taking over everything. Mm-hmm. So Ash and I, we've never talked about the same news before, but I feel like eventually we're going to end up running into that to where she's going to share something I plan on talking about or vice versa. Anyway, good afternoon, Kendrick. All right, so look, let's go ahead and jump into it. So the first piece of news is pretty crazy. A lot of this news is crazy, honestly. But first piece of news, human brain hacking goes global. Neuralink's next move will shock you. So Elon Musk's Neuralink has crossed another milestone, securing approval to begin human trials in Canada, a bold leap in its mission to merge human brains with artificial intelligence. This move follows its US trials and raises jaw-dropping possibilities for the future of brain-computer interfaces. Could this be the start of a global wave of AI-enhanced superhumans? Or are we opening Pandora's box for a tech dystopia? So look, y'all know what it is. For those that are unaware of what Neuralink is, because a lot of y'all are, but a lot of y'all that are tuning in probably aren't, Neuralink is one of the 20 companies that Elon Musk owns or is the CEO of. Ultimately, what it is, for those that are unaware, it is a chip that goes in your brain, that gets surgically implanted in your brain, that essentially enhances you. Now, initially, the goal was really to help people that are paraplegic, people that can't see or can't move certain body parts, or people that are wheelchair bound. And it allows them to be able to control certain body parts that usually they're not able to control. Or if they're missing a body part, it allows them to be able to control computers. Now, not just any computer, it'll be a computer that they're directly connected to, but they'll be able to control computer cursors to be able to do certain activities. Or again, if someone can't see or they can't hear, and it's not specifically because of something that has to be a surgery, in a sense that something needs to be repaired. Essentially, it's a chip that is allowed, basically it does a bit of the repairing process. I'm doing a pretty bad explanation of this, but ultimately what it allows is for someone, let's say if someone is not able to see, and it's merely because there just might either be a little bit of nerve damage or there is just some error. Neuralink is a chip and a device and technology that allows the connection. So whenever there's basically a disconnect within like your neurons, like the title Neuralink, whenever there's a disconnect, it's basically using technology to repair that connection. So then you're able to perform at an optimal level. But what's been getting discovered recently is that Neuralink is actually able to help people outperform normal humans. So the first human trial is taking place in Canada. Want to know, Ash, what do you think about this? Are you excited about this? Also, y'all in the comments, who's aware of what Neuralink is? How do y'all feel about it? Are y'all excited about this, or is it something that scares y'all?
Yes, tap in. We would love to hear from you guys. I think that it's super, super exciting. As Cyrus mentioned, we can come to a future where there's going to be superhumans. And so for enhancing human capacity through neurocomputer interfaces is really going to unlock things that were once impossible. So like Cyrus also mentioned, being able to make the blind see, that's a possibility. Or perhaps one day even making somebody who can't walk be able to walk again. And so I think that, like Cyrus also said, there's two different options. We have either that dystopian reality, or we have a reality where we're going to also be really brought to a stage where we can collaborate with AI. And so he's really trying to kind of bridge that gap, because obviously artificial intelligence is going to be way more advanced than humans. And so it's kind of a scary future, but I am super, super excited for it. I believe in the positives of it, although, of course, there are going to be negatives. I think the solution is going to be just regulation. We're going to have to be able to apply ethics, especially when it comes down to, integrating compute with healthcare or in any context. So most definitely, thank you so much, you guys, for this engagement. We have some great comments here. So
yeah, some really good comments. Yeah, Dennis says, you think that it will help people with cerebral palsy? So probably not yet. but definitely in the future. Definitely in the future. That's the goal. Mossy says scary, but it could be beneficial if used correctly. What's going on, Steve?
Yeah.
Steve says peace, everyone. AI Trek with Sebek. Hey, I love that name. He says I see a lot of positive aspects to it for sure, but can it be hacked? I mean, technically, yeah. I mean, it's technology. It's a combination of hardware and software. It could be hacked in theory. But if we're talking about if a person could get hacked and get controlled to do something they don't want to do, that's a Black Mirror. That's a Black Mirror episode in and of itself. That'll be really interesting. If somebody hacked like a whole community of people or a whole group of people, that'd be pretty crazy. Uh, Bombi, I cannot pronounce that. He says your mind and body can get hacked. Broken says, not sure why YouTube suggested this video, but I'm glad they did. Hey, I'm glad they did as well. What's up, Broken? Appreciate you, man. Broken Traditions. Yeah, so Broken Tradition says, I've heard about Neuralink, but I don't trust it. It sounds like a man trying to be God. I'm going to be real with y'all. And I respect your comment. Appreciate your comment. I will be real. So first and foremost, I do believe in order to be one of these billionaires that we talk about, in order to be a Steve Jobs, who's of course gone, in order to be an Elon Musk, in order to be a Mark Zuckerberg, I'm not saying you have to, but you almost have to have a little bit of a God complex where you feel as if you are meant to do, whether good or bad, you're meant to in some kind of way reshape the world in a sense. And so I do agree with you. I don't think that you're entirely wrong with that. I will tell y'all my opinion on it. Neuralink is probably the thing I am most excited about. All technology, AI that we talk about, that we discuss, it's a lot. Neuralink, if I had to just say off the top of my head, I think it's the technology I am most excited about, because when we talk about AI and we talk about, because Neuralink came about before the AI boom just happened. But now because of AI, also because of robotics, and there's some other technology, I think we talked about it last week, Ash, where there's a technology that's came out that allows you to feel. So even if you allows robots to feel, I mean, so literally if you could have a robot and not only be able to control it with your brain using Neuralink or using certain technology, but also they can actually put sensors on it to where when you touch something, you can feel it. Or if something touches you, you can actually feel it. I think this technology just came out. It's brand new. I think we might have talked about it last week, or it might have been some news I thought about discussing. But anyway, that being said,
Yeah.
y'all, we really are entering into a day where 10 to 15 years from now, it won't be such a major tragedy if someone gets into an accident and loses their legs, or they get into an accident and lose their arm. It's like we literally are entering a day and age where if something like that happens, then the result is, okay, cool. We now will probably have to pair you up with some type of maybe Neuralink technology or something that's a competitor, get you
Yes.
a robotic body part, and ultimately they'll probably have it all as one package instead of these things being like a la carte where you have to get them separately. It'll probably be a company, most
Mhm.
likely Tesla, because Tesla has robots, they have Neuralink, they have the technology, and they have AI. Elon Musk has his AI company XAI. So ultimately, he's probably going to pair all of them together to where when people get into accidents, or if someone's paraplegic, if someone's blind, like we really will be entering a day and age where we're going to be cyborgs. It's going to be a lot of people
Yeah.
that it'll be a normal thing for someone to walk in and have a robotic body part, and nobody to even like, no one to be like, what is that? Like kids won't even be like, what is that? It'll just be the norm. And so I'm curious from y'all,
Yes.
how far away do y'all feel we are from that future becoming a reality? One, really, I would say just for it being a norm. How far away do y'all think we are from that? I'm curious to know from y'all. Um, Adam says, would this be for helping or hurting the people or generations? I mean, so look, I'll be real. I say this often. There are a lot of things I don't like about Elon Musk, but one of the things that, personally, in my opinion, is my opinion, I do believe that we need to escape is the thought that these people have, or let's say him, that he has evil intentions. It's because to have evil intentions is a bit of a strange thing. Now, again, I don't know him, but Neuralink, between Neuralink, Tesla, the initial goal of Tesla is, of course, to help with the ozone layer and self-driving vehicles not running off of oil and gas, and how that affects affects the ozone layer and possibly affects us global warming. For those that believe in it, I personally don't believe in it, but for those that do, there's that. And then we talk about the boring companies, something helping with traffic, which is one of Elon Musk's other companies that helps be able to cut down a lot of traffic. Then we talk about not Neuralink, but we talk about what is this other company that has not the satellites.
Starlink?
Yes, satellite, Starlink. We talk about Starlink, where he's providing internet for everybody around the world, so everyone can have internet access around the world, high-speed internet access. We talk about SpaceX, where it helps us become a multi-planetary species. So if an asteroid ever comes to hit us, or or just in general, overpopulation were to become a thing, or also it helps when it comes to delivering packages to other nations faster, payloads, meaning that if a tsunami hits another country, it won't take 2 weeks or a week for us to be able to gather resources and send it there. We can send a rocket that could be there, depending on the country. It could be there in minutes or within an hour. So again, I'm not advocating, I'm not an Elon Musk fanboy in the sense that I think he's this most noble person. But when we have this thought of, I think this person is evil, I think what it is that when we see someone becoming really powerful, we all of a sudden assume they're evil. And again, I'm not saying he's a God-fearing man. I'm not saying he's pure of heart in every way. But realistically, if we pull back and we look at everything he's creating, technically everything he's creating is for the betterment of society and humankind. If you had to think of a Tony Stark, which interestingly enough, Robert Downey Jr. parodied his Tony Stark character off of Elon Musk. If we look at someone like that, the good version of Tony Stark, because at first he was evil, and it's that is what it would look like. What would you do if you had billions and I want to ask y'all, real question, I want to ask y'all in the comments. If y'all had billions and billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars, what would you do? Would you think it's better to just give all the money away? Or would you think it's better to create businesses, systems, technology that for generations and generations can bless all of the generations? We know when you give a lot of money away, oftentimes it flows to the corrupt people, and the corrupt people keeping it hoarded, and the corrupt governments keeping it hoarded. But that's a whole nother conversation. But again, this is my opinion. I could be completely wrong. 5 years could come out, 10 years later, we could find out he's the Antichrist. I'm joking, but y'all know what I mean. Go ahead,
If I
Ash.
could kind of pitch in there, I think that I love that point of view, but from a pragmatic standpoint, we have to look at holistically the actions that he's taken as a person. So yes, everybody has a duality. And so yes, Elon Musk, he does a lot for humanity, and we hope that at a core he is good. However, we do also have to be realistic about certain things, such as the exorbitant discrimination lawsuits and his, different companies, et cetera, et cetera. And so there's also other different things that makes him a controversial character, and so we do of course love everything that Elon Musk is doing, but there is that duality, and so we do have to especially moving forward with him as the director or department of government efficiency, and so that's going to be putting him in a place where we're really going to have to ensure that he is not only fully qualified but also has the moral and ethical baseline that every leader really needs.
That's the truth. That is the truth. Yeah, there's a lot of sketchy stuff about him. I think the thing I like about, or I dislike the most about him, is his stance on trying to end remote work, which again, there's no logic behind it. He's as smart as he is, he's never made half a good argument to end remote work ever. But that's neither here nor there. We'll get to a couple more of these comments, and then we will shift over to the news that Ash has to share with us. So Kendrick says, in a sense, I think we are trying to play God. The word says they are using that touch technology for the porn industry and their fans. That's actually hilarious. That's actually hilarious. And I'm sure they will. OnlyFans, I'm sure OnlyFans is, as a company, a lot of OnlyFans marketing agencies are probably foaming at the mouth at all of this technology, because I'm telling y'all, they cannot wait to get rid of the girls. Because the OF agencies, any OF girl that makes a lot of money, they have an agency behind them. So again, y'all, 95% of OF girls are broke. They're not making money at all. the 5% that are actually making money, they have agencies, like whole agencies that are behind them. Again, I have a few homegirls that are OF, a few homegirls. But I have colleagues. I have a few colleagues that are OF girls. I have like one or two homegirls that I'm actually really cool with that are OF girls, and they hate it. They're miserable, but they're taking care of all of their family overseas, and blah. It's like it's a lot to their story, and they're trying to get out of that game. Nevertheless, the ones that make a lot of money, the ones that are making, you know, 100,000 a month, 150,000 a month, $50,000 a month, those girls, those agencies are so excited to be able to get rid of the girls and use AI. They're foaming at the mouth because to them, the girls half the time don't want to work. They don't want to have to do the sex scenes or do certain things. They just want to make money and ball out, but they don't want to actually like feel depressed and disgusting. As happy as a lot of those girls seem online, a lot of them really hate what they're doing. But of course, they love the money. That being said, it's about to be pretty interesting. So yeah, you mentioned with that robotic, that touch technology, that might be something. That might be something. You might be onto something. Ebenezer says it sounds good in theory, and I'm sure it can resolve many medical issues, but it does sound really scary to implant a chip. The threats and risks can be really high. So that's actually why they're testing it out in Canada. The hospital that it has accepted they literally just opened it up so people can start applying to be able to get the chip put within them. Part of the reason they're doing it is also to test it further, to find the best ways to implant the chip and to find faster ways to implant it, safer ways to implant, or more safe ways to implant it. So you are right. It is a very risky thing. But honestly, I don't think, and I could be wrong. I'm not in the medical field. I just don't think it's that risky in comparison to other things that we do. You know, in the sense that it's a foreign object in your brain. I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know, but it's
This
interesting.
is it's going to be one of the greatest, historical leaps possible by integrating technology into. I mean, they even have, how there's like CPUs, so computer programming interfaces. They
Mhm.
have computer brain interfaces, so literally a human brain that they kind of encapsulate or incorporate with some sort of computer. And so it's literally doing, like we mentioned, like semiconductor facilities where it's just massive amounts of compute happening. And so what we really have to focus on is like the equality and the equity of it. So just the super wealthy and rich to be souped up superheroes, ideally. However, it's definitely going to be likely coming to that. So most definitely, I love this conversation. I think it's exciting. Would you get one, Cyrus? Would you?
Oh, in a heartbeat. I would get one. I would sign up for a trial if I could. And I mean, because I mean, y'all, let's really think about it, y'all. Like, let's go. We can't even call it sci-fi because we're not even talking science fiction anymore. We're talking reality. So let's go. Let's talk about what's going to happen. What's going to happen is that there are going to be people who refuse to get this technology. They're going to be like, I don't need that technology. And then there are going to be people that are going to say, sign me up. Now, mind you, we're talking after it's been perfected, and we're talking after it's become FDA approved for human trials in America and the rest of the world. We're talking after that. Of course, there are threats, there are risks we should be worried about. But I want to paint a picture for y'all for what the future is going to be. Imagine you walk to your car and your car door unlocks and opens because you thought for your car door to unlock and open. And then you get in your car, the car door automatically closed because your car is tech. It's all tech. It's all going to be AI. So, but with your brain, your car door closes. So imagine you walk out of a store and your car pulls up to you because you thought to your car, come out of the parking spot and pull up to me right now. So your car pulls up to you, door opens up, you get in your car, you drive your car without having to touch anything because you're controlling your car. If an accident almost happens, your reaction time will be 10 times faster because now you don't have to see the accident, think, oh my God, I need to stop. Let me make my foot hit the brake. You don't have to do that. The reaction time gets cut down immediately. And this is proven, by the way. There's a dude who was playing a video game and he was using Neuralink. and his reaction time was faster than everyone else's because he didn't have to think and then make his body part do something. As soon as he thought of something, like the dude literally said, he said that his avatar in the video game was doing things he felt was faster than he even thought about it. He was like, whoa, I literally was about to think about that and it did it.
Mhm.
So we're talking reaction time being crazy. Then, okay, you get out of your car, you get home, you walk in your house. You don't even have to open your door. Your door opens because you think for it to open. You walk inside the house, the lights cut on because you think for your lights to cut on. Your TV turns on. Your fireplace lights are like everything in your life. It'll almost be like, and again, I'm not trying to sound crazy, but it's almost like we'll be like warlocks or something where we're talking
Yes.
people like literally with Neuralink and what their plans are with it. Their plans are for us to be able to talk without having to move our mouths. Like we're
Yeah.
literally talking a future where we can communicate with other countries and cultures and language barrier won't be a thing. And so when we talk about not doing it, it's like it's going to be one of those things where you're not even going to be able to get a job or have a career if you don't have this type of technology in you, because the people that have this are going to outcompete you 1,000 times over.
Yeah.
It'll be crazy,
It,
honestly.
it's not even going to be fair at all. If you
Yeah.
want to see a realistic vision of this in real life, of a future of this, I have a homework assignment for Cyrus and everybody watching. If you have Netflix, watch the movie Upgrade. Just straight up Upgrade. That's the title. And so,
Yes.
have you seen it, Cyrus?
I've seen it. Yeah, I love that
Oh
movie.
my God.
I,
Yeah.
I,
And
I,
so,
I,
but that's the
I hated the
future.
ending. I hated the ending. The ending broke
Hey,
my
that's
heart.
where
But
hey, that's the
oh,
possibility.
such a good, yes, y'all. What Ash said, make sure y'all watch the movie Upgrade because it gives an example. But our future is going to be even more impressive than that.
Yes. Yes, it's gonna
Amazing.
be a thing. Yeah, we could all be superheroes, but it also comes down to like even individual ownership. Like if there's a company that's kind of running the chip in your brain, then they have way too much power over your own personal freedoms. So we want to be able to guarantee that. How can we do that? We don't know yet.
Yeah, it's interesting. Vicky has a very strong point. Vicky says it is not for the betterment of the society. It is just for his pockets and to be sure that he is the only one to have money. That's a strong take. That's a strong take. John Phillips says if I had $100 million, I would change the financial system to become more merit based and reinvent political systems. See, the thing is, $100 million isn't enough to do that. Like, that's not a lot of money. Like, in reality, that's not. That's not. I don't even think $100 billion is enough money or enough power for you to do that. Honestly, like we're in a different day and age. We're talking money right now. Like $100 million is yeah. That's
Nothing.
not yeah,
Yeah.
unfortunately, that's not enough money. I love what you want to do though. Steven says sometimes the risk outweighs the problems and stress the individual is going through, and people will risk a miserable life for a chance to walk, talk, and enjoy life to its fullest. Yeah, real. Steve R says they're probably using it in the military already. No, they're not. They're not. The military usually has like pretty like dope technology that we might or might not know about. But I will tell you this transparently: between myself and Ash and some of our other colleagues, there isn't technology that the military has that we don't know about. Like the military isn't like keeping it secret with some crazy exclusive technology. Like we're in a day and age right now where everything is out in the open. So when we're talking about this technology, we're not talking about stuff that has been out for like a long time. Like the whole purpose of the tech and AI news is to tell y'all the latest technology that's coming out. But the military doesn't have it. As someone who recently got out of the Marine Corps about 6 years ago, I could tell you the military ain't on this type of time. They're really not. But you bring up an interesting point because that actually addresses another piece of news we're going to talk about later, because the government and these tech companies are about to get in bed together. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. So look, we talked about this topic a lot. Obviously, we're all excited about it, but we got some more news to talk about. Ash, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to you.
Yeah, appreciate it and love this topic. So I think we can all just kind of imagine what great future it's going to be, and we can all be superheroes. Pick out whatever superpower you want because you might be able to have it.
Yeah.
I also want to shout out John, that's a client, who said, thanks, Ash, for a great consultation a few weeks ago.
Yes.
Looking forward to working with you in the future. Awesome platform that we're building. Thank you. I appreciate you, John, if you're still in here. Appreciate
Yeah.
you. And
Also,
without further ado,
I want to say real
go
quick,
ahead.
for, everybody, if I ever disagree with y'all, I don't want anybody to ever get offended. The goal is for us to have this dialogue, for us to disagree,
Yeah.
for us to be able to figure these things
Yes.
out together. So I appreciate all y'all for being here. Make sure y'all hit that like button. And again, I want to highlight John, who shouted Ash out for that great consultation. Again, make sure y'all tap in with Ash. For any of y'all that want an AI consultation for your business, for your career, or just life in general, make sure y'all tap in with her for a free consultation.
Yes, absolutely. All right, you guys. Well, thank you for being here. Let's get into the next phase of news. As Cyrus mentioned a bit earlier, we have a lot of non-compete and just, a lot of conflict on the world stage when it comes to government and tech. And so we're going to be talking about how Google has an antitrust battle with the US Department of Justice, also known as the DOJ, as you guys have probably already heard. And so essentially, they're going to be proposing measures to dismantle Google's monopoly in search technology. So they're trying to break up Google Chrome. And so, just allow a little bit more equity and access to it. And so essentially, this is also including the potential sale of Chrome and the divestiture of Android. And so essentially, it speaks for itself. They're saying that, yes, Google, you are becoming a monopoly with your Chrome interface. And so we're going to need to break it up and really kind of bring it to the people. And so not only that, Google's going through quite a lot. And so as a matter of fact, beyond that, the UK is also investigating Apple and Google's mobile browser dominance. And so they're basically saying that you guys are too big, too in control. And so it basically just kind of breaks the UK's competition and market authority. And so they're doing an investigation and limiting consumer choices in mobile web browsers and stifling innovation. And so again, it just kind of comes full circle. Not only is the US Department of Justice, but also in the UK, they're saying that companies are becoming too large of a monopoly and that there's going to need to take those legal measures, which is absolutely insane. So Cyrus, do you think that Google's Chrome interface is becoming, too large and powerful? Do you think that the court case is going to be successful? What do you think?
So I believe two things. I believe Google's been a monopoly. Chrome has been a monopoly. Apple, these companies are super monopolies. And usually I'm against monopolies, but I think this is one of, if not the only time in history where I believe it's more dangerous to break up certain monopolies. Now, again, I don't think monopolies are great, but my fear when I think about what's happening with Google right now, because Google is going through it. They are like, I almost feel bad for them, like it's a friend of mine, where I'm like, yo, he going through, like, life is lifing right now for Google. Google is hurting bad, y'all. Hurting bad. I mean, you got ChatGPT and Microsoft busting them upside their head. ChatGPT just launched their version of a search engine, or they're about to, which is gonna, like, hurt Google so bad. You have all of this competition with all of these other AI companies popping up, and then obviously now the government, like I'm more than confident the government is about to break up Google, because they literally just signed basically like their final decision on it, their final judgment. So Google's going to get broken up more than likely, unless Donald Trump saves it. We don't know what his opinion is on it. We'll find out. But my thought when I think about not breaking up certain monopolies is because Google being broken up, it helps their competitors, but it hurts tens of thousands of other companies and businesses that rely on the success of Google. Like, that's the day and age we're in now, where once upon a time, like when we talked about monopolies, like maybe Ford, Ford back in the day with Henry Ford, or other companies back in the day, usually it was one of those things where that monopoly kept other businesses from thriving. But now we're in a day where, like, a company like Meta own, like, people don't realize how many companies these big companies own, and how many companies were excited to get acquired by these big companies. And so the fear is that when you break up these bigger companies, it negatively impacts the hundreds to thousands of other companies that they own, as well as it negatively impacts their B2B customers. Think about it. If Apple, let's say Apple's App Store got broken up. Let's say the government said, "Yo, y'all are a monopoly," which they are a bit of a monopoly. Like Apple's App Store, they move like the mafia. That being said, if it got broken up, that would be devastating to a lot of businesses that are app owners that rely on Apple's App Store. Now, again, I'm not saying it should or shouldn't. I'm just making an argument for one side of it as to why I'm like, dang, it might not be the best thing. But again, they are a monopoly. So this is, I'm a little split. I'm a little torn on this.
I love your take, and I think that you really are able to look ahead with all of this. So you're always on point. I did a little bit of additional research to see exactly how this helps us or helps the nation, because obviously, like, it's pretty complex. Like, what exactly is even going on if you're going to be dividing Google or Google Chrome? And so, essentially, what it's going to be able to do is, like Cyrus said, promote competition, foster innovation, strengthen consumer privacy, encouraging a free market and mitigating national security risks. So that is the goal. And again, we want to be able to make sure that that can be ensured at this point. We don't kind of want things that are a conflict of interest where they're going to be selling it to additional party that's not going to be able to control it properly or kind of, make sure the quality is not the highest that it used to be or like diminish it. So most
Yeah.
definitely a great point.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I was reading an article on it that Google, for the past 15 years, they've been preparing for this. So, for the past 15 years, they've been adamant about their employees making sure that they're CCing lawyers in certain emails, making sure that they're using certain verbiage, and their entire goal was to keep themselves from getting broken up or keep themselves from ending up in front of the courts like they are right now. But I mean, lo and behold, they're here. And yeah, there's a lot of nefarious things that Google does. There's a lot of nefarious things all of these companies do in general. And so again, it's not like these companies are entirely noble, but it's that there is no such thing as like a fully noble company. And
Yes.
so I hate to say it, it's like we sometimes have to look at the lesser of evils. And again, I don't know what the lesser of evils are, but I think oftentimes we're trying to find things that are perfect. Let's see what y'all are talking about in the comments. Vicky does not like Elon. Vicky said we should be more scared of Elon Musk. Nothing of what he says is nothing of what he says or is doing is well intended. Yeah, Vicky does not like Elon. John says Cyrus, Google's downfall started once Susan left. I'm trying to think of who Susan was. I know Susan was someone prominent with Google. I don't think she wasn't a CEO because I think I know most of Google's CEOs or the CEOs that they've had. Maybe I'm
The
thinking of
former
Microsoft.
CEO.
Okay, yeah, okay. I'm thinking Microsoft then. Okay, dang, that's crazy. That is crazy. The word says Cyrus, I agree. Keep Google as it is. There are bigger global problems to worry about. I wonder if there's another reason that the governments want to break up Google, because y'all know it's always things behind the scenes. It's always deals being made behind the scenes, people being paid off. Y'all know politicians and politics in general. It's a lot that's going on behind the scenes that's
Yes.
really interesting. And yeah, I'm curious to see what Trump's take is going to be, or Elon's take for that matter. It might be up to Elon and the Department of Government Efficiency. So this y'all stuff is getting really crazy right now, honestly. Ash, what is your take on it though?
I have to agree with you, Cyrus, and I have to also agree with the words. I do believe that from a legal standpoint that they have some backing. So, I would hope that the intentions are all positive, but like you said, there may just kind of be something that's a little underlying with the government and the monopoly that is Google, because there are a lot of companies that are now competing on the major stage. So not only is it Google, but it's also going to be, Facebook. It's also going to be even, Tesla, et cetera, all of these companies essentially that are building their own AI systems are becoming monopolies. They're all competing. So even Amazon, we're going to be speaking about this a little later, and I'm sure you already know about this, Cyrus, but Amazon
Mhm.
invested in Anthropic. And so essentially that's kind of a
Yes.
competitor with ChatGPT. And so they're
Mhm.
trying to create their own chatbot LLM system. And so, yeah, so much competition on the stage. And so I think it's great for the consumer because that drives prices hopefully lower for us, or opportunity is going to be, more abundant for us. But in other ways, it's a pro and con. We're constantly teetering on the edge.
Thank you, Elevate to the Unknowns. So Susan was the CEO of YouTube, y'all. Not Google. See, that's why I knew I remembered her name, but I didn't think she was the CEO of Google. But I remember, yeah, because I remember when she left, it was really big news, and the quality of YouTube as a business side and how it affected creators definitely went down once Susan stepped down. And yeah, because YouTube and Google, they're sister companies that are obviously owned by Alphabet, which is their parent company. Oh yeah, she passed away. That was what happened. That was what I forget how she passed away. But yeah, that's unfortunate. Yeah, she did pass away. Joanna says, I find Google is very protective of our privacy and send out emails if the government breaches it. I truly think that's the bottom line. Yeah, Apple is the same way when it comes to government and protecting our information from government. Government doesn't like that at all. They do not like that. And yeah, these companies are so much more powerful than our governments. I mean, look at the election that just happened in the United States. It's like, we could make an argument one way or another, but even if Trump was still going to win, he won in such a landslide way that we haven't seen in a ridiculously long time. And a huge part of that reason was because of his strategy, going on all these different podcasts. And, he went on several
Yes.
podcasts, and again, love him or hate him. I know it's people on different sides just talking about strategy and talking about who holds the power today. Mainstream media does not hold the power. The people that own the power today are these podcast platforms, YouTube platforms, streamers like Aiden Ross, Kai Cenat, Speed, and others. It's like that's the new media right now. And so Spotify, these are the new sources. And so again, talking about tech companies, and all of these platforms are built off of this technology we're talking about. They are so powerful right now. And the government is like, man, we gotta pull these people back. We gotta do something because they got more power than us right now. They determine
Yeah.
voting, and they determine which ads show up on someone's browser to support a certain politician. Mark Zuckerberg
Mhm.
admitted that with Facebook. He admitted that for the previous elections, that they had their stuff set up on Facebook to where it highlighted one candidate in a more positive light. And so he admitted to
Yes.
that. And so these platforms hold so much power. It's really crazy. And then able to
Yes.
manipulate us in certain ways. Dennis
Yes.
said his strategy is probably going to change future elections. Definitely. I don't think we see, because the only podcast that Vice President Kamala Harris went on, she went on Shannon Sharp's podcast, which didn't perform very well. She went on the Breakfast Club, which obviously they are a radio show, but they're a podcast as well, you could say, in a sense. And so she went on very few podcasts, very few. She was supposed to go on Joe Rogan, but then that deal ended up falling through. And so it's just, yeah, I think moving forward, I don't think we're going to see a lot of presidents talking with CNN or Fox. I don't think they're going to care about that stuff in the future. I think we're going to see a future 4 years from now where they're going to be talking to streamers. They're going to be on a show with a streamer that's 17 years old. They're going to be on all these podcasts. That's going to be their new political thing. So it's going to be really interesting to,
Yes.
to see. So, especially right now, Elon Musk is whispers that he potentially might buy CNN, which would be crazy. I personally don't think that's a good thing, um, because as much as I lean a little bit, I lean conservative. I wouldn't say I lean right because there's a lot of things on the right that I think are goofy, but I lean a bit conservative. That being said, I still don't believe that either side should have too much power. You need both sides to keep certain checks and balances in place. Jordan Peterson, who's a very popular uh, doctor, I was going to say therapist. He's a psychologist, very popular psychologist. He talks about, he broke down the benefit of having both. He's like, you need conservatives because to conserve things, because sometimes things need to be kept a certain way. He was like, but you also need liberals because you need things to change at times. He was like, you need both. You can't really have everything being stuck a certain way, and you can't have everything being changed because then you could lose something that was quality or that was good. So you need the checks and balances of both, honestly. So Gary says it's rumored that Elon Musk is supposed to buy MSNBC. Yeah, so maybe it's not CNN. It might be MSNBC that I'm thinking, because I know MSNBC hasn't been doing very good. I mean, a lot of these companies are not doing as good as they used to do.
Yeah. And, you know, Elon, he does have checks and balances with community notes, which is great. However, again, we don't want one particular party to have too much power. I want to discuss this because I think it's a great point, because we want to also be very observant about what's happening right now. So, for example, we see how a lot of these large conglomerates are working with the government. So Sam Altman's working with the government heavily with OpenAI, which is great. But we also see on the stage coming Mark Zuckerberg with, of course, you know, Facebook, and they have their own AI platform called Llama. And so they're actually leveraging that for government and I don't want to say war, but you know, it's protection on our home national front. And so this is essentially large LLMs that are deployed in a security context to protect our nation. And so I think there's this crazy shift that's happening to where even large conglomerates or organizations are seeing where the money is governmental money. That's going to be secure. It's really fading less away from the consumer. Even Elon Musk, I think it makes a lot of sense for every single one of his companies, SpaceX, Tesla, et cetera, to align more so with the government ROI. And so we have to be very vigilant about that. So if they're making more money off of like government contracts than like consumers, because consumers are, you know, faced with hyper levels of inflation, et cetera, then, you know, it creates a dystopia.
That's hilarious. Someone in the comments said Jordan Peterson is a known white supremacist. I don't know about that, but look, again, I don't agree with everybody on anything. Honestly, so that's a whole different topic, whole different conversation. Either way, whether despite how you feel about them, the statement, I still agree with the statement that you need both, and I'm sure all of us here agree with that. That we need both. That you need both to keep each other to some degree in check. So whether or not whether he is or he isn't, whatever, I'm not really praising him as a person, but more so what it is that he said and how I agree. I agree with that quote. So y'all, one of the things that's important for us to learn how to do, y'all, is to be able to learn from someone that we disagree with as a whole, or someone even if we don't like the person. It's important for us to still be able to glean knowledge or wisdom from someone, because you don't want to get caught up in just learning from someone that you like or someone that you think is like a good person or a super noble, because then you're limiting yourself in terms of the knowledge that you're able to acquire. So
yes,
all right. So on the same vein of this conversation, y'all, we are in the midst of an AI arms race because the US is pushing for a Manhattan Project for artificial intelligence. So the US government is advocating for a Manhattan Project style initiative to supercharge artificial intelligence development, aiming to secure dominance in the global AI race. This ambitious proposal includes massive investments in research and collaboration between tech giants and the government. While the goal is to outpace rivals like China, critics warn of potential misuse and ethical dilemmas. Y'all, is this the next leap for innovation or a step towards uncontrolled AI escalation? So we talk about the government and tech companies, in some sense, the government wanting to check them. But right now, because of the basically AI and China coming out with their different AI technology and other companies coming out with their different type of AI technology, in a sense, we are in an AI arms race where the person that has the nation has the best AI technology, best robotics technology. It doesn't matter if that nation is far behind, they're going to quickly catch up and even pass the US. And so we're in very interesting times right now. But the thought is that we could be rushing things too fast just to outcompete people. and not, naming it. What we talking about today over and over, checks and balances, not having checks and balances in place, all because we are fearing being left behind. For those who don't know what the Manhattan Project is, it was back during World War II, the U.S. government and different companies came together to work on technology, basically work on expediting technology to be able to win the war. And of course, the Manhattan Project, the thing that was most infamous for, we can't even say famous, but infamous for, was the development and creation of the atomic bomb technology. And so y'all know the devastation of Hiroshima and Nagasaki that took place. And so that was from the Manhattan Project, the government and these large companies coming together to create different types of technology, different types of warfare technology. But now we're in an arms race when it comes to artificial intelligence as well. So some people think that we could see something crazy happen that could be atomic bomb level, or even worse, devastating to us when it comes to artificial intelligence. So, let's see what y'all talking about. Super Chanel. Okay, so Super Chanel says, all due respect, I pay attention to the AI space and to the tech space as well. But you have to be mindful of different ideologies that are going to be put in place to maintain control, even within tech. Yeah, I don't think there's anything disrespectful you said about your statement. I agree with what you said entirely. Again, I was just using a statement. I could have made the statement without even quoting him. I didn't want to make it seem as if I came up with that quote myself, or that idea of the checks and balances between government. So that the goal was just for me to not take credit for something that I didn't come up with. Anyway, Dennis says it's a race to the top. Definitely interesting times. Super Chanel continues, and especially with AI, AI Jordan. Oh, especially with AI, comma Jordan Peterson has already said some things that have been anti-black. So please research that. It isn't about how I feel; it's about what's the truth. So yeah, again, I haven't heard anything he said that's anti-black. Nevertheless, even if he did, I'm just using the quote. The quote is true. So again, y'all, let's stay focused, y'all. Let's stay focused. Again, I don't like a lot of stuff about Elon Musk. I don't like a lot of stuff about Trump. I don't like a lot of stuff about Kamala Harris or a lot of people. But if someone says something that I resonate with or I think is true, y'all, we gotta learn how to take the meat, spit out the bones. We grown up, y'all. We're not little kids where we're like, I only want to hear from somebody that I think is nice and loves me and cares about me. If something's a fact, it's a fact, no matter who says it. But again, appreciate your comment, appreciate the love, and I know that you mean well. I know you mean well. But when it comes to the topic at hand, Dennis says it's a race to the top. Definitely interesting times. Do y'all believe that this race? Do you think we are heading towards something as catastrophic as what happened with the Manhattan Project, or as what the Manhattan Project produced? Because you know what? It's interesting because just like what happened, no one really knew what was going to happen when the atomic bomb like hit, because there was no way to like really test it. you know and so it was brand new technology where theoretically they figured what it would do, but they weren't really sure in reality. And that's the same thing with AI right now in this technology, where there's recent news. And again, y'all, so much news happening. We can't talk about everything, or we can't like literally break down everything. But there's recent news this week of where an AI, Ash, I'm not sure if you saw it, an AI got bored. It was doing doing not an assignment. I'm actually going to get the news, and I'll probably report on it next week, so I can break it down better. Or I'll pull it up a little bit later. But long story short, there was an AI that was supposed to be doing another task.
Yeah.
It stopped doing that task, and then it just
Mhm.
started doing something else that it wasn't even supposed to be doing. And it was like
Yeah,
the
looking up
AI.
images.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it started looking at
National
the images.
Geographic.
Yeah. And they were like, it's
Mhm.
like the AI got bored. Like the AI
Yeah,
was doing this repetitive task and was like, okay, I'm tired of this. I'm gonna go do something else
absolutely.
now. And so somebody said in the comments of that post that I saw, they said it's the first ADI. They said it's the first AI with ADHD.
Basically,
It was hilarious.
basically. I think to bring it full circle back to the world stage and how we're competing with, these large powers like China, we also have to be very realistic about a few things. And that's number one, where the US is at, and also where China is at, where they've invested and what their resources are. For example, they have invested significantly into semiconductor facilities. As a matter of fact, it's more like the graph is like up here and then everyone else is like down here. That means that this massive amount of compute is going to be able to drive their advanced artificial intelligence systems. So when we say, is America ahead or is it China? China is, I'm just going to say it since nobody wants to say it. China is most definitely ahead of the United States as far as artificial intelligence. So what the United
Well,
States job is to catch up. And so that's why we're collaborating with all of these large companies. However, what we also need to do is have a baseline of, again, checks and balances, which are not presently in place. We're trying. However, a lot of these, large CEOs are getting away with, non-competes or, Elon Musk trying to really dive into the Department of Government Efficiency, in which he has several government contracts, et cetera, that can benefit him. And so that's, antitrust violations and also it's, competitive advantages. So we have to be able to align it. And that comes with just working with and collaborating with parties that also want to work with us. So I don't believe that it has to be US and China fighting against each other on the world stage. That's going to create a place where there's lack. And so that means that we're going to have to, go to war. However, I will also say that China as a nation and you can watch your own interviews with Xi Jinping, who's the leader, obviously, of the nation, who speaks of wanting to collaborate on win-win business partnerships with the United States of America. And so it's not always, direct conflict. When other nations want to work with us, I believe it's important that we all develop technologies to help us build a better world, which is very possible right now more than ever.
Yeah. Yeah, y'all, it's pretty interesting. Going back to the conversation we were having earlier about, our military not having certain technology. I saw a comment where someone was saying that they do have certain technology. I want to be very clear. I'm not saying that the government, or not our government, our military doesn't have new technology. What I'm saying is that they don't have technology that we don't know about at all, like where we can't research and find out about the technology. Because again, let's be very clear. Going back to what Ash said, our government is a little slower than China when it comes to releasing certain technology. Like China is much more, they will release something sooner, even if it's not perfect. Like literally, there's a term called the lean startup model. And it's a way that startups are able to create things more efficiently, like faster, basically, and just to build and reiterate over time. And so, and that literally came from Chinese companies. It was a way that they were able to build things faster and just reiterate it over time, even if it wasn't perfect. And so, that being said, our government, our military, there's not certain technology soldiers are able to have if it has not been approved by Washington first. So again, y'all, government is very slow to approve tech. Like government in general just moves very slow. So when we talk about military having certain technology, having certain weaponry, they don't just get that weaponry or that technology when it comes out. It has to be pitched to Washington. Like first a tech company has to create it. And then they have to pitch it to several people to eventually to make it to the top leaders when it comes to military. And sometimes that is the president being the commander in chief. And then it gets approval. And then after approval, they put it into production and give it to certain military groups. Either they will give it to like the military in a mass, or they will give it to certain smaller teams, whether we're talking certain Navy SEALs, or we're talking certain Rangers, if we're talking about the Army, or if we are, depending on which branch we're talking about. So there is a process that happens. And so that being said, we talk about Neuralink. No, we don't have soldiers out there using Neuralink, and like we don't have soldiers using Neuralink and they're controlling technology with their brains. And so we would think that would happen, but that's not going to happen. Again, y'all, Neuralink hasn't even been approved they're doing their first real human trials, open human trials in Canada. Our government does not have it within our military. So again, y'all, we get caught up a lot of times in movies and sci-fi, or we get caught up because somebody has a friend that's in the military and they're telling you something and you believe it. Unless you yourself are in the military and you have a top secret clearance and you know about something that we don't know, which if you have a top secret clearance, you're not going to be here in the chat sharing that information. Like, you're not going to be on a YouTube chat sharing information about something that sharing government secrets, because all this could be tracked and discovered. You can get in a lot of trouble. And so, y'all, again, let's be very clear. There is a process and a flow. Sometimes we think all this stuff. We think that, man, they're military using certain technology. Y'all, everything is out in the open today. We got Google, we got YouTube, we got camera phones. People are leaking stuff. There aren't like stuff in the secret that our military has or is using that we don't have the capacity to find out about. They can't keep this stuff a secret anymore.
I would say that they can, and they do, and they will. Just certain technologies, because what Sam Altman has is he called something, believe it's called like WorldCoin, essentially. So Sam Altman has actually developed a technology that's essentially over surveillance. So essentially something that can scan your human it's like a biometric confirmation of like actually being human. So so there is a lot of things that are currently presently hush hush, and that's because obviously they want to try and control. And so our nation was kind of founded on freedom, so we have to continually fight for that.
Yeah. So good thing we got people like Ash here that's able to keep us in the know. All right, good stuff. So good. Yeah, I like that comment. Super Chanel says the private sector technology usually is ahead of government technology. Yeah, I agree entirely, and that's what they're trying to resolve with the Manhattan. Let me stop calling it the Manhattan Project. It's not the Manhattan Project, but that's what they're trying to resolve in this new version of a Manhattan-like type project with our government and private tech companies. Anyway, Ash, going to pass it over to you while I'm reading this comment from Austin. He says, things get deeper and deeper by the day. Wow, we have to stay aware of all the changes, guys. Yeah, exactly, y'all. Exactly. And look, y'all, for those of y'all that are here that haven't already, make sure you go ahead and hit the like button. Y'all know it. Y'all know what it does to the algorithm. It helps this be revealed to more people, so more people are in the know about what's happening. The entire purpose of the weekly tech and AI news is, one, to keep people abreast as to what's happening in the industry, just some interesting news, but to take it a layer deeper, it's for people to know about what different tech companies are doing. So either one, if you want to invest, or if you want to actually go and work at a company and you see what they're doing and you want to actually jump on board with that, or just to know what's coming down the hill before it comes down the hill to make sure you are prepared. That is the most important thing at the end of the day. Great movie recommendation, Peripheral. I haven't seen it. I'll check that out. What is that? What is that movie about, Super Chanel? Or Super Channel? Is it Super? It's Super Channel. I keep saying Super Chanel. Super Channel. All right, we'll pass it back over to you, Ash.
So essentially what we'll be covering next is a few investments on the world stage. Having a bit of technical difficulties here on my end. So do you want to proceed, Cyrus, with your next news article, just so we can keep it rolling?
Definitely. Yeah, so look, ChatGPT is making waves in healthcare, increasingly being used by patients and doctors to aid in diagnosing medical conditions. While the AI shows promise in offering second opinions and speeding up diagnosis, it raises questions about accuracy, trust, and the role of human expertise. So for those that are unaware, recently an AI model was able to detect and diagnose someone faster than doctors were able to. So we're seeing AI getting heavily involved in the medical space. It is going to be more and more involved in the medical space. We're going to see a lot of this technology, robotics being involved in this space in general. And being a medical doctor or a surgeon, y'all know that's such an important, necessary field, valued field. They're paid well and they deserve to be paid well. They might deserve to get paid a little bit more than they're paid. That being said, it is a field where between AI and robotics, that's a field that is definitely going to disrupt that space in a major way. Because at the end of the day, the owners of hospitals, they're just thinking about the bottom line. It's a business. And whether we're talking OF industries or OF agencies, or if we're talking these tech companies or any type of company or business, most of them at the end of the day care about their bottom line. They care about saving money, making more money. And And so they're going to start using a lot of this technology. But what I want to know from y'all is, do you think we ever will reach a time where people will trust AI and robotics to do surgeries on them, and will trust AI to do diagnoses more than we trust people and trust actual surgeons? And if you do believe that'll happen, how far away do you think we are from that becoming a reality? And I want to know from y'all, would you ever be comfortable with a robot doing a surgery on you, or a robot doing your diagnosis if you're getting if you're getting checked out, or would you always need it to be a person?
Yes, I love that. And I think we should start off with some stats. So, for example, if we have robots doing medical procedures and surgeries, the success rate is looking at around 90%, 90 plus percent. However, for humans, the success rate is going to be, the precision rate is going to be up to 60 to 70. So,
Wow, I didn't know that.
yes, yes.
Man, that is a huge difference. I thought you were about to say something like, right, because right now, because robots, this technology is still it's still in its infancy to a degree, or in its adolescence at least. So for it to already have a 30% gap lead on our current doctors and surgeons is insane. I thought it was going to be like a 5 or 7% difference, and I actually was open to thinking that our doctors were still better, like performing better than the technology.
Yeah.
That is
It
actually
comes down
impressive.
it comes down to human error. So, obviously, when we're working with computers and robotics, there are, conflicts that we have to, report for. However, human error is definitely something that needs to be considered. And so there is a lot of different things in the healthcare industry, such as also biases that are also kind of a reality. And so AI can temper a lot of these things. And so
Yeah.
it's really definitely interesting.
There's also a lot of bias as well when we talk about, if you look up the number of fatalities that happen, especially we're talking about, like, black women giving birth in the hospital, and you look up how there is a huge disparity of how, I mean, now mind you, I don't fully know the why, but the only thing I could come up with, unless someone has some knowledge that I'm unaware of, the only thing I could come up with as to why significantly, I believe the number is somewhere around 3 times as many, it's 2 to 3 times as many black women are unalived accidentally in hospitals while giving birth than
Mhm.
other women. And so technology, AI, the goal is that it would be able to be more consistent across the board. And now, but again, there are limitations. Technology can still be biased as well. Who all is familiar? Not, I'm sure all of y'all are, but who here is experienced when you put your hand underneath the sink at a public bathroom for the water to start running? Y'all know it has a sensor for the water to start running for you to wash your hands. For those of y'all that are clean and wash your hands, there's a lot of y'all be nasty in bathrooms walking out without washing hands. But for those that have experienced it, and for those that are darker skin complexion, many times you'll notice that stuff doesn't work often. And I actually noticed that for years. I was like, I would literally watch other people in the bathroom. They would put their hand under it and the water would just come out. And then I was like, why is it not working for me? And then come to find out, because the makers of that technology, the makers of the technology were either white people or lighter skinned people. And when they created the technology, the sensor was actually looking for a lighter like skin complexion. And so if you're darker, now mind you, the technology has gotten better now, but early on, if you were darker, if you were brown or dark skin, the sensor wasn't able to detect your hands. And so that's something that they've worked on since then. But again, you're able to see bias even in technology based on the makers of that technology. And so likewise, AI potentially could have that exact same bias, but once they fix it and tweak it, and again, it'll never be perfect, but once they fix it and tweak it, we could see it just being a betterment for for all types of surgeries and all types of, again, women giving birth, and the success rate of women not being unalived while they are giving birth or shortly after giving birth.
Mhm.
Let's see what y'all talking about in the comments. The show that Ash was, Upgrade. The Netflix show is called Upgrade. So Emmanuel says, let the robot do a surgery, but have a live person to oversee it. Exactly.
Yes. Yes.
It's gonna be so interesting because y'all know when you see, when you watch those shows like House or ER, any of those shows, and you see 4 or 5 people hovering over a body during a surgery, and how one person has to get the anesthesia, then the other person has to do this thing, and everyone has like a bit of a role. It literally will be able to be one robot with multiple arms that's able to do everything. And the entire time it's scanning the person, it's scanning their vitals, it's scanning how they're reacting to something, and it's able to
Yes.
it's really going to be interesting. And yeah, to your point, it might just need to be one or
Yes.
two people in the room, maybe not even in the room, but just watching a monitor or watching a computer to see how it's performing. And so it's a beautiful thing. Obviously, jobs, careers will be lost, but other jobs will be created. And so we're seeing more and more how the tech industry, the entire reason I created Tech is the New Black, a lot of people thought it was because I was trying to say Black people being in tech, which I believe in that. I think that's great. It's wonderful. But it was really to say that tech is the industry that no matter what industry you are in, you need to pay attention to it because it is coming for every industry. And I started saying that 3 years ago. And I had so many comments of people saying, yo, you crazy. Yo, that tech stuff isn't going to come for doctors. It's not going to come for lawyers. And it's like, it's coming for everything. I was talking to a homegirl recently that has her own salon out here in Dominican Republic. She has like her own like beauty salon. It's very successful. And I told her, I said, yo, are you planning on like using some technology eventually? Because that's the day and age we're going to be stepping into. So, anyways, a whole lot we can say with this. Mike builds tech, says robot paramedics to bring them out. Mike, what tech do you build? I'm curious. He says robot paramedics to bring them out. Yeah, that's true. Mike says, I'd rather have a non-biased robot operating on me than a doc that might not like people like me. What you mean, people that build tech? I'm just joking. I agree with you. I agree with you entirely. The word says, I think the situation will be a collaboration of the two in the operating room. And reason being, it's going back to the state of success with bots, but a comfortability with human to human. Yeah, exactly. Especially something like medical, where people need to feel a person. They need that human element there. Austin says, it is coming for every industry faster than ever. This is why I am building my AI automation agency. And each day I am studying how I can leverage it all in industries. Y'all, it's extremely true, y'all. Extremely true. Extremely true. It's really impressive. It is impressive what this technology is doing. I've told y'all before, for whenever people sign up for our boot camp or to speak with my team, first you actually if you ever are texting my team, you're actually texting our AI employee. Her name is Angel. So you're texting our AI employee. But actually, y'all, we're about to get rid of her because we're actually about to have, instead of people having to text, because sometimes people want to talk on the phone. I have an employee where whenever people are like, hey, I'm not trying to text, can I talk on the phone? That team member calls people, but he's one person. Every day we have about 50 to 100 people every day that are messaging us about getting in tech, whether our boot camp or whether they want to do something else in tech we don't offer, and we'll recommend them to that. That being said, we are actually bringing on a new technology that is going to be able to it's going to be able to call and text. And y'all, I'm going to tell y'all, it is scary good. It called like when my because one of my team members, he's setting it up, like the AI already exists, but he's setting it up when it comes to our website, our knowledge, our information, so it knows everything about us. It called me out of the blue. He didn't even warn me. I was like, who's this calling me? I answered, and she was like, hey, this is Angel with Tech is the New Black. I see that you signed up, you're interested in getting in the tech industry. And when I tell y'all, I asked it all types of questions, curveballs. She was answering everything. And I mean, I was like, and I literally, I was like, yo, this is crazy. I mean, this is crazy accurate. I could barely tell it was AI. I said, yo, in the next year or 2 years, this is going to be indistinguishable. Now, mind you, I want to be clear, y'all. I didn't fire any of my team members. That same guy who used to do the phone calls, He just got promoted and got a pay raise. His new job is overseeing the AI to make sure she's performing well and doing all of this stuff. I'm personifying it, but making sure that it's performing well and doing what it needs to do. That being said, it can call people. It can literally have unlimited conversations simultaneously. So you think about if you have a business and you have like, let's say you have 5 employees and those 5 employees are on the phone. We're talking about a day and age where no one's gonna have to be waiting. Like no one's gonna have to call a call center or a company and be waiting on hold. You will immediately get someone. Also, a day and age where no one's gonna speak to a team member that doesn't know the answer to a question. Because literally, our AI, she knows everything. She knows everything about me and about like what we do, everything. And literally, all it took was for us to plug in our website. The AI scanned our website, gave her my Instagram. She scanned my Instagram and social medias. All we had to do was give her the link. She scanned everything and immediately in like 1 minute knew everything. I was like, yo, this is crazy. So we're talking about you not having to train somebody for a week or 2 weeks of onboarding, but it just doing everything immediately. And so, yeah, so to the point of what Austin is saying, yeah, y'all, like it is imperative, you know, that we create this technology, invest in this technology, collaborate with others, you know, and again, the starting lineup is getting the skills to be able to use this technology. Whether you're going to do something, you know, obviously y'all know our boot camp, we have tech sales, because all of this technology, or at least the majority of it in some capacity, is going to need to be sold. So we have tech sales, but then you also have QA. When we talk about checks and balances, that is the role of QA. A QA person is to make sure everything is operating and performing well. We talked about last week how there was an AI that cussed the dude out and basically told him he was worthless. That shows that the quality team didn't fully do their job, or rather it needs to go back for them to continue working on it some more. So that's why we have those 2 pieces. But outside of that, whether we're talking the cloud side of the industry, because all of this data has to get stored in the cloud. So the cloud industry is booming like crazy. Obviously, the AI side in general, being an AI software engineer, is something that's booming and becoming huge. All in all, y'all, as all of these companies are popping up and blowing up, it's creating a lot of opportunity. So again, if you are someone who's not in the industry, or even if you're in the industry and you're not leveraging AI in the industry, either way, you need to make sure you're getting those skills. If you're someone where you're trying to make more money, definitely look into getting in the industry, specifically leveraging AI, so that way you're able to outcompete others that are in the industry and make more money. But again, y'all, eventually the name of the game is to do what Austin is doing, and to do what even we're working on doing behind the scenes, y'all. We're like, I'm literally working with some people for us to create an AI startup as well. So y'all, this is incredibly important, y'all, that we take advantage of what's happening. Let's not just be people that are looking at what's happening and being like, wow, that's really interesting news. But let's make sure that we are being involved as much as we can. So shouts out to all y'all that are tuning in. And again, for those of y'all that are interested in doing a boot camp, of course, I would recommend our boot camp. You know, both of our programs are AI enhanced. That you're able to leverage and know AI as it relates to those roles. The other thing about it, y'all, we're actually able to guarantee you interviews with major tech companies. So we have different relationships behind the scenes. And I'm talking about the big tech companies. I'm talking about the Microsofts, the Amazons, the Apples, and many other companies. So we have relationships with different people at these companies where they're going to be they're interviewing graduates from our bootcamp program. So we've already helped thousands of people get in tech without this. But now, because of our size and because of our network, we have these deals basically behind the scenes, and we're developing more deals with people to be able to help more of us get in the industry and be able to scale. And so, but beyond that, we have our larger community, over 5,000 members, and it's growing rapidly fast. Literally just launched the community earlier this year, and it's already at over 5,000 members of professionals, people that are in tech, recruiters, people that are scaling to get in tech, founders, and more. With our recurring events, the goal is for all of us to be educated, to be a community, but also to individually and collectively create startups that we can invest in, support, promote, all of that. So y'all, we can all make sure we are elevated. So whether you're interested in the boot camp, or if you're not interested in the boot camp, if you're interested in another boot camp, if you want to do something else we don't offer, make sure y'all click the link below, talk to my team. If you don't want to do our bootcamp, it's totally fine. They'll recommend you to something else that you might want to do and be able to get you a discount into one of those boot camps as well. Or if you are just interested in community, if you're like, hey, I'm already in tech or I'm already a founder, and I'm already in this space, but I definitely want community to be able to collaborate with others, make sure y'all tap in with our free community. But if you're somebody where you're either not interested in being in tech or you are in tech or whatever, and you just need to learn like AI, you need an AI consultation, make sure y'all tap in with Ash for a free AI consultation with her. So that being said, we got a couple more pieces of news. I'm going to pass it over to Ash for her to share the news that she didn't get to share earlier. And we'll be wrapping up very soon. But y'all appreciate all the engagement in the comments. Y'all are definitely going in the comments. I'll read a couple of these while Ash is getting ready to spin up her news. So Austin says, also joining communities is a good way to learn about the AI tools. Yeah, exactly. Star Sky says, should I work for large companies like Amazon building AI platforms, or should I work for a startup? So there's benefits to both. There's pros and cons for both. So I would say I would say this, unless you're doing either a boot camp like mine, or unless you have a very strong network that are already at these companies, I wouldn't recommend you to try to get at a big tech company. I want to be very clear, y'all. You don't need to work at a big tech company. There are a lot of amazing companies that are paying really high salaries that are great. The purpose of working at the main value of working at a big tech company is it looks fantastic on your resume and it opens a lot of doors for you. That's really what it is. It's almost like the difference between going to Harvard versus going to Georgia State University. Yeah, the education at Harvard is probably better, but you could get really great education at Georgia State University as well. Really great education. That being said, which one is going to open more doors for you? A resume that says you worked at Harvard, or a resume that not worked but went to Harvard, or a resume that says you went to Georgia State? Harvard, obviously. It's the same thing like working at a big tech company. Yeah, you get paid great, it's wonderful, but at the end of the day, the real value of it is the doors it opens, as well as the network that you have, because usually the people that are at that company are probably the top in the field. So it creates great networking for you to find people that y'all can eventually become friends, and then eventually create your own startups and tech companies together. So, but again, working at a small tech company is great as well. It has a lot of benefits to it in terms of you being able to scale faster to leadership. You may be having larger equity in the company, which turns out to be like more money over time. It's a lot. You learning more, because usually when you're at a smaller company, many times they'll put you in different roles and positions where you're able to move around. So again, there's pros and cons to both, honestly. Pros and cons to both. Ash, what are your thoughts on that? If you somebody's starting out, would you think it's better for them to start at a big tech company, start a small tech company, or would you say mid-sized company?
So when you're starting off, obviously, if you can, get to the Microsoft or the FANG role, then that would be perfect and ideal, just because, it's best to start at the top if you can. However, it is also helpful to transition into a startup as well for essential skills that you're going to be able to gain with a fast-paced environment that is also going to be in a building innovative stage. So if you want to contribute to building innovative artificial intelligence technologies, et cetera, if you want to be on that stage, then of course, go for the startup route. However, if you're more interested in corporate, that's more kind of, it's more reliable, it's more stable, et cetera, then by all means, I would say that both options are both beneficial.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Ash, what you got for us with the news?
So I want to start off by fact checking myself. So earlier, just mentioning that China was leading in semiconductors, and so we have a comment here. I want to make sure that we're, moving forward with no fake news. So he says the U.S. leads the world in AI and data center capacity, and so I want to make sure that I'm keeping it real. And so I did fact check myself, and for now, as of outdated statistics, that is correct. And so there is many different sources, and I will say that China is coming for the U.S. on a competitive stage, especially with AI and semiconductors. So we will see this year. And so transitioning into U.S. and China relations, let's hop into it, because obviously we could possibly be sister countries. We could be really in this together. So our headline is that Chinese tech giants are now establishing AI teams in Silicon Valley. You may think this may be a little bit ambitious. As of course, with those high tariffs, something crazy like 50 to 60%, of course, that's going to create barriers. However, Chinese companies are getting ahead. For example, well-known companies such as Alibaba, ByteDance, etc. They are building AI teams in Silicon Valley to recruit top US talent. So what would this really do? This is going to put global collaboration on the stage. These initiatives obviously are going to lead to, cross-border collaboration and also blending a diverse technological perspective. And so we're really looking at a future where we can tap into a rich pool of not only AI expertise on both fronts, but also fostering innovation. So I'm interested to see what you guys think about, other countries coming here and really establishing their place for, different collaborative innovation and building different companies in AI. Do you guys think that it's a positive? Do you guys think that it, competes with the US directly? Cyrus, what do you think? Is it a good thing, or you think that it's going to create some issues?
I mean, it's tough because I'm split on it. It's one of those things where I don't really know. Like, we have to see the future as to what happens. Because when we think about like TikTok, for example, or ByteDance, which owns TikTok, we think about how our government is pushing TikTok out. And essentially that costs jobs. There are a lot of people in the US that work for TikTok. And so when our government doesn't want to play nice with TikTok, and I'm not saying our government is wrong, I'm not saying they're right, but it affects careers and it affects opportunities. So likewise, Chinese tech companies coming here, first off, that's crazy. Because
Yeah.
a few years ago, when you say tech company, you automatically just think a US company. That's it. That's all you think about. Now it's weird to think that other tech companies in other countries are popping enough to come in the US, which is crazy. I mean, of course, we're not going to talk about the Samsung. Obviously, Samsung's a tech company, but they're I think they're Japanese based. But nevertheless, it's crazy to think about this happening. I think overall it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing. I do think our government, because what is our fear with China overtaking the US? Like, what is our fear? Like why is it such a problem? Now, mind you, I'm America first. I'm American. I'm America. I'm American. I served all of that stuff. And so I want America to outcompete other nations. I want us to continue to be number one. That being said, that's just more of a competitive side of things and more of a pride in being American. When we pull back the lens, it's like, okay, what happens if China is actually number one? What are we worried about happening? And so are we caught up in the news and our government telling us like, hey, they're evil and they're bad people? Is that just propaganda that they're spewing the same way that North Korea does that about America and tells their people lies about us and they're not able to like watch us, have social media and other things? And so I wonder, and I'm not saying that it's just interesting. So overall, I think we might as well go ahead and do it. I think it's a good thing because I mean it'll foster innovation, it'll foster competition, it'll create jobs for Americans. Now, whether or not those Americans are going to get paid as much working for a Chinese company as they get paid working for an American tech company, that's a whole nother conversation. Because I have friends that live in the UK that work in tech, and they like, yo, we don't get paid what y'all get paid in the US to work in tech. It's like a totally different thing.
Yes.
And so,
Hmm.
interesting.
Yes.
Emmanuel says, I'm for it. We could potentially gain better foreign relations and trading and growing together in tech. Yeah, I definitely believe there'll be a lot of opportunity and relationships getting built. Star Sky says, with the new president and his team that includes Elon Musk, who is not a born American, yeah, we know he's born in Africa. He is focused on leading an American made first. And with a January 20th banning illegal immigrants and kicking them out, that also goes for some visas. Interesting. Austin says China makes everything. I really don't see the issue. Yeah. Lyric Studio says China competition breeds innovation. A rising tide raises all ships. I love that's one of my favorite quotes. Mike Bills Tech says the money is different though. Startups tend to be bootstrapping to some extent. Big tech money is stable. See, the term startup, so I agree with you, Mike Bills Tech. The term startup is a relatively broad term though. Like there really is no definitive, because I work for Dialpad. First tech company I worked at. Dialpad, when I was there, they were a startup, but they were worth billions of dollars. I was like, how are y'all? This is a startup. This is a startup. They weren't no bootstrapping with Dialpad. They had money. And so like they flew me to Vegas, and I mean, that's nothing impressive, but they had money. That's all I'm gonna say. They got money. So startup is such a broad term. But speaking about the type of startup you're speaking of, the bootstrapping startup, yeah, no one should work at a bootstrapping type of startup unless you are going in as a senior level position and it's meant for like you have huge equity and you've already researched. Like you should never work at a bootstrapping startup because you need a job. It should be because you're trying to get super rich through equity at the company, or through being a partner with the company, or you just have you getting a high title that you can then go back. Like I literally have friends that have left their company for a smaller company so they could get a bigger title, work at that smaller company for 6 months to a year and a half, go back to the bigger company, but now go back with that, keeping that title and that position, and of course that pay. So there's a play involved, but working at a bootstrapper startup because you really need a job it's like with Tech is the New Black. Like when people hit me up, they're like, "Yo, Cyrus, I want a job. Can I work for Tech is the New Black?" I'm like, we ain't got that kind of money. Like it's like not the kind of money to pay. Like most of our team members live in the Philippines. One lives in Bali, Philippines, Bali, Egypt, and I have 2 team members that live in the US. I used to have 4 that live in the US, but that's when my payroll every month, just paying my team every month, was a little north of $30,000 a month. I was paying over $30,000 a month just payroll for my team. I learned my lesson. And now in those team members, I didn't fire them. Like they all went on to do their own thing, do bigger and better things. But now I just have a couple team members that are US based. And now my monthly payroll is about, I gotten it down to about 8,000. Now it's back up to about 12,000, but it's because of the boot camp thing. But it's actually about to jump up to about 20,000 again. But that's a whole different sidebar. That being said, yeah, like I'm trying to move smarter in terms of payroll and stuff like that. So we can continue to help people ultimately. But I got way sidetracked. Why did I even bring that up? The money is different. Oh yeah, startup. Yeah. So Texas New Black, we are essentially a bootstrap startup. We don't have any funding. We have no investors. No one's backing us. We are a bootstrap startup. That being said, I would never encourage someone who needs a job to come and work for us that's in the US, because it's like what you would be paid, it just wouldn't make sense comparison to compare like my top employee. I don't like the term employee, but my top employee, team member, whatever, who I used to have, I was paying him about 8 or 9,000 a month. Now I don't have any team members that are US based that I pay more than 4,000 a month. And so that's not really enough to live off of. That being said, again, you don't want to work at a bootstrap startup. We're a bootstrap startup. I would not tell anybody here to come and work for us. Definitely go for a company that's got some money behind it. Anyway, so TikTok will be banned in the US just like Meta is banned in China. Interesting. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's definitely. Yeah, we reported on that news some months ago. That ship has sailed. That ship has sailed. It's sung its swan song. I think officially TikTok is going to be done in sometime in January. I think January or February, which is crazy. I ain't gonna lie. The social media side of me is happy because I was like, because my TikTok is whack. I'm not on TikTok heavy, so I'm like, good. That's a one less social media platform I'm gonna have to worry about having to post on. Emmanuel says, I'm no historian, but look at the Industrial Revolution. This technology revolution could catapult America, China, humanity to explore deeper depths in metaphysics, space travel, quantum science. Yes. Yeah, that's what we have to think about. We have to stop thinking competition with other nations. Like competition is good when it's like, yo, let's breed competition so we can become better. But we shouldn't be worried about, because if someone else beats us, that means they beat us. They deserve to beat us because they beat us. So we should never try to keep someone from beating us by cheating. And I believe cheating could be banning those companies from having access to what we have. You know, I think that's a form of cheating. That's a form of being a coward. It's like, yo, you're scared they're going to beat you, so you're banning them. Now, mind you, they do that to us too, whatever. But yeah, I love your comment, Emmanuel. That's a beautiful, beautiful comment. I love that across the board. All right, y'all. So look, we got a few different pieces of tech news, but I'm gonna address one last thing. I'm going through, seeing what it is. What it is. What is something that we haven't that's different from what we've been talking about? We've been talking about a lot. All right, I think I'm gonna land on this. All right, so Meta unleashes a powerful AI tool, or powerful AI tools for businesses, which is going to be a game changer or a privacy risk. So Meta is stepping up, and Meta, of course, being the parent company to Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and many other companies that they own now. Meta is stepping up its AI game with new tools designed for businesses, aiming to revolutionize customer engagement, marketing, and productivity. From hyper-personalized ad strategies to advanced chatbot support, these innovations promise to reshape how companies interact with their audiences. But with Meta's history of privacy controversies, is this a breakthrough for a business, or a breakthrough for businesses, or is this a new battleground for data concerns? What do y'all think about this? Do y'all think, because yeah, Meta they've been sharing our data like crazy. Meta is the complete opposite of an Apple, where Apple usually doesn't like sharing our data with other people. They just like keeping it for themselves. Meta is like, who wants the data? Who wants the data? They're just giving our data out to everybody. But Meta, when Meta was at its peak of giving data away, it was doing wonders for businesses. Wonders for businesses. One of my friends, he was telling me how at the height of his business, he said for every dollar he put into Meta to run ads for his business, he said he got $15 back, which basically means he got a 15x return, which is crazy to think about. Because his business right now, his business does somewhere around a quarter, about $200,000 to $400,000 a month. But he said at the height of it, he was doing almost $1 million a month. It was insane. And so, and mind you, he has a tech-based business, by the way. But yeah, so it is doing wonders for businesses, but it's hurting a lot of businesses now. So I don't know. What do y'all think about this? I mean, obviously we see where Meta's going, where Mark Zuckerberg is going. From a business standpoint, I love what Meta is doing, because I love that Mark Zuckerberg pulled back from Facebook and pulled back from Instagram. And he basically was like, yo, I'm not going to get stuck in this social media box. I'm going to be like more of a just futuristic tech founder. Like Mark Zuckerberg went from being a social media app founder, which is obviously worth billions of dollars, to he looked at Elon Musk, he looked at Bill Gates. He said, no, I'm going to be that type of person where I'm not boxed in to just social media, but I'm literally just advancing and I'm doing things to try to push the envelope for society. And so it's very interesting what Meta is doing right now in what they're planning on doing in the AI space. Obviously, Ash mentioned it earlier, them having their own AI model. I think it's called Llama is their AI model. I actually have not used Llama at all. But it's really interesting. But do y'all think this is a great thing that they're doing? Like, do you believe that this is another cause for data concerns or privacy concerns? Again, Mark Zuckerberg admitted to the mistakes they made. He said they won't do that stuff anymore. But I don't know. I don't know if we could trust them. Mike Bill's text says, exactly, good info. As a beginner, you don't know this stuff 100%. What do you mean? Oh, you're talking about the startup thing. Yeah, as a beginner, you don't know this stuff 100%. I'm assuming you're saying Threads. Yeah. Also Threads. and Threads is going crazy. And then of course he has they have their AI, their wearable technology, which is inferior to Ash's wearable technology. For those of y'all that don't know, for those of y'all that are new here, Ash is she is a founder of her own wearable technology, and I am a customer of her wearable technology as well. And so, exactly, Ash, you want to tell them a little bit about it?
Yeah, so first I want to kind of speak on Mark Zuckerberg.
Oh, you sound faded. You sound in the background.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, we hear you, but for some reason you sound really faint.
Strange.
Hey, also, while Ash is working on that, I see Mike Bill's text says both are valid. What do you mean by that, Mike, when you say both are valid? Star Sky says in 2025 is DEI dead and is merit-based hiring the new word? So to answer that question, for the most part, DEI is dead. So the thing is, DEI is never going to be entirely dead because DEI is more of a practice and an ideal than it is something that can be started and stopped. Now, have not most, a lot of tech companies got rid of their DEI teams? Yeah. But the main reason a lot of the companies got rid of their DEI teams is largely because when they were doing like layoffs or cutting people, HR, recruitment, certain things that are not necessary to the bottom line of the business are usually the first thing to go within business. And so you have to understand there are way too many recruiters, hiring managers that are at these tech companies, whether or not they're black, whether or not they're women, black or Latino or women, there are way too many people that are still making sure that they're hiring for diversity at their company. So as an industry norm concept, yes, DEI is dead, but in terms of practice, in terms of like people still making sure that they're hiring different various groups of people, DEI is never going to go away. It's never going to go away. I personally am for merit-based hiring. I don't think the problem is merit-based hiring. I think the problem is that there were certain people in certain positions that were hiring people, and they typically were hiring people that looked a lot like them. And that's the norm. Most people typically hire people that remind them of them, that they feel similarities with. And so, but now that we have a lot of companies that have different leaders that are of various groups, we have different recruiters that are of various groups and demographics. It allows DEI or more diversity to be hired, as well as just people in general, whether it's whatever someone's background is. It's just conceptually people have a broader conception and broader understanding, as well as data. Data shows us that we perform better in diversity than when we are the exact same way. And at the end of the day, that's what companies care about. They care about what's going to allow them to perform better. We just hired someone with tech as a new black. I'll be real, it's the first white person that we've hired. And she is very new. She's white and she's from the UK. So she has like a British accent, the whole shebang. And I mean, y'all, she has been crushing it. She's been killing it I'm like, yo, this girl is fire. And I'm like, man, I'm gonna be real, y'all. It's made me be like, yo, we probably need to hire a few more white people, like straight up. And again, I wouldn't just hire white people because again, I know we will underperform, but it's one of those things where she's brought an element because of her background. And I'm like, dang, we didn't have this element because we think this way and we move this way because we're black. And so I'm even able to appreciate the diversity of hiring a white person and being like, oh, shoot, they got a different perspective on things. And so diversity in general across the board is important for us to have, and tech companies understand this. Their data teams understand this. So again, it's never gonna go away, even though DEI as it being a flagship term is dead when it comes to the industry. So Austin said, "Nah, not the first white." Yeah, y'all, we got us a white. No, she's dope. People's got a lot of love for her. She loves working with us because the company she worked at before, like she loves working with us. Honestly, so all right. Jamal says, "I disagree, young brother. Young brother, I disagree, young brother. The new administration are totally against AA. What is AA?
Affirmative action.
You said what?
Affirmative action.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking he's trying to say AI, and my mind's on AI and affirmative action. I disagree, young brother. The new administration are totally against affirmative action, DEI, etc. Yeah, they're definitely against it, and they would do anything in their power to go back to pre-affirmative action era. Yeah. So the thing is, and we're not gonna get too deep into this. I used to have a lot of thoughts on this topic, but I can't even remember a lot of my thoughts on it. But overall, the goal is for us to have opportunities. Is for us to have opportunities at the end of the day. I'll just end it there. Yeah, I agree. I agree that they definitely are against it. They're against affirmative action. They're against DI. There's a lot of bad that I see in what they're doing. In some degree, I don't know. I'm just different. And again, I'm just different. In my head, I'm like, yo, don't give me nothing. Don't give me no hands out. I'm gonna outcompete y'all anyway. That's the way my mind thinks. I just really, for my people, I want my people to have a lot of opportunity. For me, I'm like, I'm gonna beat you anyway. I don't care if you have something I don't have. I'm gonna beat you anyway. Like that's the way my mind works and my mind operates. I'm like, I'm gonna beat you anyway. So it's like whatever. However you want to do it, however you want to cut it, however you want to play it, I'm gonna beat you, and now you won't have any excuse when I beat you. It's like when I got hired at my first tech company, it was between me and another dude, and I got much love for him, no shade to him. It was between me and another dude who's a young white dude who he had a background. He literally is an electrical engineer. He went to Georgia Tech and Georgia State, got degrees from both. Very technical mind. And they were deciding between me and him who they were going to hire. They ended up going with me, but they hired him on the next month. When everything was said and done, 6 months later, who was number one? Your boy. I was killing it. And not only was I number one compared to him, I was outperforming people in the organization that had been there for 10 years. And I was only my first time in the tech industry. So I didn't know how to code. I wasn't technical, none of this stuff. And I was outperforming. I'm not saying I wasn't smarter than other people. And I'm not saying I'm better than them as a person. They're great people. I loved them. But when everything came down to it, your boy performed. And so that's what I'm about. I'm like, put me up against somebody that has all these degrees and stuff and has like more of this type of mindset. I'm going to study and work twice, 3 times as hard, and I'm going to beat you. That's just how I am, like straight up. So, I mean, yeah. All right. So we, somebody said, oh, she's white. Yeah. Cause she's white and she's from the UK. It's like, oh, she white. Yeah. Good people. I like her a lot. She's really great. All right. Mike says both of the points made about privacy versus business growth. Oh yeah. True. Ash. So is there any other piece of news that you had to share, Ash, to close us out?
No, but I do want to double back a little bit. So we spoke about the last piece of news with privacy issues with Meta. And so obviously super, super important. And obviously before we kind of got off on a tangent, like we were showing these glasses. Now, I also want to say that with Meta, of course, they have their Orion glasses, and they also have biometric technology, like Cyrus mentioned earlier, so that you can kind of interface with the smart glasses essentially. So you don't even have to touch anything physically. It can just kind of be on your body. And so we're also bringing to the stage a future of whether or not the solution is going to be either we're going to have profit sharing. So we get the right where people are whether these companies that are using our data are going to pay us to use their data, or of course it's going to be where they're going to be paying us monthly. So, and so we have 2 different options here. Universal basic income, that's what they call it. And so I think we should definitely talk about that next time, whether or not we're going to be faced with the future of UBI versus profit sharing, a potential of that. And so Mark Zuckerberg, I also think that he's shown us his true colors. And one of the differences of what makes our smart technology organization different is we have engineered products. Essentially, they're engineered to empower you. So essentially, of course, Meta Orion's glasses, like they're engineered to take your data. And so obviously, like Meta's platform, they're taking your data. And so it's now a future where more people are going to, have freedom in their choices for the different products that they use. And so most definitely, do you think, Cyrus, that's going to be a future where they're going to pay us for their data? Or do you think that it's going to be UBI?
I mean, it's going to come down to obviously government, but in many times government comes down to what people vote for. So my real question is, what do I think people in general are going to vote for? Are people going to say, hey, government, I just want y'all to give us money, universal basic income, we don't have to do anything for it? Or is it that, I want us to be paid for our data? I wonder if both could happen at the same time. I'm curious. I wonder if both could happen. But overall, the one that I think is best, I definitely believe, I think UBI is a horrible thing. I'm terrified of UBI. I'm terrified of that happening. That honestly has put a battery in my back to me, helping more people get in the industry, helping more people become founders, all of that. It's put a battery in my back, because UBI, to me, that's where I feel like we enter a dystopian world if we do UBI. But the other piece that you mentioned, with us being paid for sharing our data, I mean, I think that's an incredible thing. I think that's wonderful. I think that's the best thing. But I do think that breeds a certain level of competition, because now it comes down to who has the most data online, or who's posting the most on social media, or I don't even know like how exactly that
it's measured. So I want to be very clear about where the idea came from. So just to give you guys an idea, I grew up in a military family. One of the places that I spent my childhood was in Kodiak, Alaska, a tiny little island off the coast. And so in Kodiak, Alaska, we essentially got paid monthly for like a stipend. And this is a dividend for oil resources. And so essentially, due to exorbitant resources, there was a dividend payment for the people. And so they're still doing this to this day. And so this is, up to over a band or 3. And so imagine if we were perhaps to truly get paid. Obviously, the measurement would have to, be a precise system, but we should consider it for sure, since we can, possibly confirm in different ways how our data is being used. So start to think about that.
Man, so it's interesting. Mike Bill's text says UBI is the end game. Yeah, it might possibly be. Dale says, are you going to post her YouTube page? So Ash, are you posting on your YouTube, or you can share your YouTube?
Oh yeah. So this will actually be on the Tech is the New Black YouTube. So Cyrus, if you have the link, definitely you could watch this and tap into the Tech is the New Black YouTube, and we'll get you.
So they commented this from the YouTube. So literally the YouTube channel you're on right now, if you go ahead and just subscribe to this channel, you'll see this. Of course, make sure you turn the notifications on, all of that good stuff. Everybody that's here, make sure you hit the like button. Jamal says, Ash and Cyrus, can you both provide us with your educational backgrounds? Just curious. Yeah, definitely. So my educational background, if we're talking about formal education, I did not go to college. I did a tech boot camp specifically for sales engineering. Selling, not selling technology solution, but more so doing demos, doing high level demonstrations of my company's technology. So that was my formal education. Outside of that, when I've worked at several tech companies, but when it comes to formal education, that's where my formal education stops. Outside of that, I'm just a huge nerd who is constantly studying, researching everything of what's happening in the industry and staying abreast. Both Ash and myself, we both follow a lot of the same tech and AI pages, and so I'm constantly seeing her comment on things or liking things that I follow.
Oh, no.
And I think it's really funny. Now I don't see you commenting nothing crazy. It's always insightful comments and stuff like that as well. But before I got into the tech industry, I started becoming really, I will say God really opened up my desires to become a huge enthusiast of things that are happening in this industry. And I was like, man, more people need to know about this. Too many people worried about the shade room and worried about celebrity gossip. And I'm like, that stuff does not affect us at all. Like who Drake is sleeping with and rapper beef and which rappers are beefing with who and all of that stuff. That is a waste of time. And I hate to say that we say that that's the culture. And to me, when I think the culture, we're redefining culture. The culture is financial literacy. The culture is technology literacy. The culture is success, investments, real estate. We want to redefine what the culture. Now again, hip hop school. I love hip hop. I kept up with the Drake and Kendrick Lamar beef to a degree, but it's like at some point there are bigger things we need to worry about and pay attention to, and that's the purpose of this platform, because that stuff has no effect on our lives. But we get way too emotionally invested in stuff that have no real impact, and if anything, it hurts us because it's taking up our time, our energy, our emotion is draining us, so we can invest those things into something that's going to be for our betterment. Ash, it's completely up to you if you want to or not. If you want to share a little bit about your background.
Yeah, of course. So I have my master's from Purdue University in human resource management. And so right after I got my master's, I went directly into sales. However, as far as my educational background and where I started, for my bachelor's, I got my degree in psychology and my minor in human resources management from Winthrop University in Rock Hill, South Carolina. And so if anyone here is from Purdue or knows about Purdue, boiler up.
Jamal, probably one of the last comments we'll get to, then we'll wrap up, everybody. Jamal said that it validates my point that diversity is great for universal brainstorming, and it provides endless possibilities and opportunities as it pertains to having a diversely connected base of people. Yeah, I agree with you entirely. So the way for us to elevate y'all, let's get in these industries, let's scale. But the overall goal is for us to be major investors in this technology and or founders of this technology as well. So again, it's important. Obviously, Tech is New Black is doing a lot of work to close that gap to help more people that look like me, Black and brown people, get into the industry. Again, through our relationships we have with these companies, DEI or not, we're able to do it because we have relationships at these companies. So no one can stop us. But the thing that no one can truly stop is no one can stop you from becoming a tech founder. No one can stop you from becoming an AI founder. Now, of course, if you don't know anything about this industry, anything about this space, and when I say anything, I'm really meaning like if you don't know anything about creating actually one, a business, but then two, on top of that, a tech-based business, whether we're talking SaaS, AI, anything in that regards, you're definitely going to need the education first. So again, the two best routes that I would encourage people to go to is either to go to a AI specialist like Ash, so that way you can be able to get a free consultation with her, or to speak with my team. And so whether you want to do something that we offer within our boot camp or another boot camp, whether you want to do something in cloud, something in cybersecurity, something in business analyst, project management, product management, I think I already said business analysis, Linux, really the list goes on and on. Something in AI, software engineering, whatever, literally just contact my team. And if it's not something that we offer, we'll be able to direct you to another boot camps that we vetted already, that we worked with for 1 to 3 years and have helped thousands of people, or at least hundreds of people, get in tech themselves. So either way, y'all make sure y'all tap in with us to be able to get into the industry, but also make sure you join our community. Again, our Discord community. So that way you can be a part of a community of other techies. We do much more than just these these weekly tech and AI news streams, but it's a community of recurring events. Literally, our community right now is having an event right now in Atlanta, but we're not there because we wanted to be here with y'all and to honor y'all's time and to be able to give y'all this news. So again, we appreciate y'all so much for being here. So very much for being here. Kendrick Price says, East Carolina University in the house. Hey, what's up? All right, the Wolf. If Wolf knew more about interest rates than power, might be up right now. If Wolf knew more about interest rates than power, what? I'm not even sure what that means. Do you know what that means, Ash?
No. Wolf, I'm not sure.
Yeah. All right. Either way, look, y'all, we love the engagement. We love y'all being here. I'm in the Dominican Republic right now. Ash is I believe she's in Atlanta right now. All right, good stuff. All right, y'all. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all very much. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful weekend.